Unit 3 of your Media and Political Translation. So this unit is called Media Advertising and Slogans. It's quite a funny unit. You can go check out all the links to very interesting slogans and advertising that were made before, whether on TV or on the social media. Okay, so this is the last unit of the first half of your book. So your midterm exams will do until here. So unit 1, 2, and 3. There are so many practical exercises in your book. Please go over them, do them, and you have all the answers to every single question in your book at the end of each unit. Okay? So there will be another class for us before the midterm, and that one will be practice, lots of practice. Okay? So let's delve into what this media advertising slogan is. So, media advertising is a very, very good tool that producers of a specific company or a brand use to promote their service or company. So, in order for them to have a good view from the audience of their service and product, they have to have a good advertising campaign. Okay? And this is because they need to get out their brand message to as many people as they can. So before the invention of the internet, these things were done through TV or through the radio. Well, first of all, it was done through the papers, then through the radios, then through the TV. And nowadays, you have so many advertising campaigns on social media. For example, if you are watching whatever you are watching on the social media, you always have a pop-up advertising. Okay? Why do you have it? Because if you click on it or if you watch it, which is most of the time you have to watch it, the company that is sending these messages gets hit. Okay? When they get hit, they get a count of how many people have watched their advertisement. And this way, they know that their service or product has gone to as many people as there is out there. Okay? So as I said, an advertising campaign can be either on the newspaper, you can find it in the newspaper, it could be on television, through the radio, on any digital platform, especially on social media. Okay? So why do we need to know this? Because since advertising campaigns goes through lots of channels, so translating these advertising or media advertising campaign and slogans will be challenging because each channel, yani the TV, the radio, the social media platform, each one has its own characteristics. Okay, so they need to know exactly how to do this translation. And it's not only a translation of just the linguistic part. Okay, yani when you do an advertising campaign, whether it's visual or you hear it, okay, it has its own characteristic. Like visuals, they rely on color, they rely on movement, okay, they rely on some sort of message, but mostly color, music, and movement. While on the radio, the most thing that are used are the spoken and the music. Sorry, the spoken utterances and the music associated with it. Okay, so the more catchy the slogan or media advertising is, the more people remember it, the more they go search for it, right? And maybe that will lead to bigger sales. Yani they will have lots of people, lots of customers who buy their products and services. Right. We go back to the translator. Why is it important for a translator to understand this? Because a translator not only translates the linguistic text, as we said, but he or she needs to provide the whole picture, the whole emotion, the whole appeal, the colors, the music, the movement, everything within the media advertising or slogan should be translated. Now, should it be translated word for word? Yani should we use foreignization? Should we use domestication? Sometimes these things depend on what the message is. If the message in the target language is equally adequate and provides a good, eye-catching text or a visual, okay, so it's fine to leave it as it is. If the advertising campaign or slogan doesn't work in the target language, they need to think of something else. And what is this something else? It is how this message will resonate with the target language culture. Okay? They need to take into account the culture of the target audience that they want to translate it to. So, as it says here, media advertising acts as a bridge between cultures, enabling brands to communicate with diverse audience. Like we all have used Amazon, we all have used Shein, we all have used so many platforms that sells products and services, right? So we see an advertising, we like the product that we see, and then we go directly to the website or to the app of that organization, service, or agency that sells this product, and we click on buy. That's it. So this is how all these companies reach out to the public, reach out to the audience, reach out to their customers, or whether local customers, international customers, whether current customers or future customers. So it's a bridge. So because when we buy, for example, from Shein, we buy from China. When we buy from Amazon, we buy from America, okay? So this is why it's a bridge that links the product or service with its customers, okay? So as I said, since advertising is something that needs to catch the eye of the audience, it should be attractive. It should make them understand the advertising as soon as they see it, okay? That's why I'm saying sometimes advertiser relies on foreignization, but most of the time they rely on domestication, meaning that they change the setting, the message, all of this, the slogan of a particular product or brand, okay, and service, to suit the customer's need. So they can understand it, so they can like it, then they will buy it. So advertising requires a deep understanding of cultural nuances, values, and sensitivities. Okay? Before, those who did the advertising were advertisers. That's it. But now companies rely a lot on translators to give or to write the correct meaning, the correct way they should. In your book, you will find that there is an exercise or activity example of when big brands like KFC and others try to translate their slogans into Arab countries, okay, they faced a wall. When they did the translation, they did it in a bad way. They did it word for word or like foreignizing the slogan or advertising. So they were stopped. They didn't have sale in these countries because people didn't like the advertising, the advertisement. They didn't understand their slogans. So from there, they teamed up with translators in order to send the message across in a way that is culturally sound, okay? So that the audience can understand them. And then they came up with really cool slogans that were met with enthusiasm from the customers, from the audiences, which drove their sales to the top. Okay? So slogans embody a brand's identity, promise, and unique selling proposition. So we have the advertising campaign, and then we have the slogan. اللي هو شعار الشركة، اوكي، او بيكون مثلا شعار البرودكت معين، اوكي، يلي بدهم يبيعوه. ف these are the brand's identity. يعني if they sell well, they become what people associate with it. For example, we all call the tissues Kleenex, صح؟ Right, you guys? Yeah, why? Because the Kleenex brand was, our advertisements were really good that it stuck in our head. So every time we buy whatever type of tissue out there, we always tell them, please pass me the Kleenex. I want the Kleenex, okay? So this is the power of branding. A well-crafted slogan can become an iconic phrase. Like, for example, in Coca-Cola's word, عيش الانتعاش. Every time you hear Coca-Cola, you always remember the slogan, عيش الانتعاش. Okay? Every time you see a L'Oreal advertising or product, you say, because you're worth it. This is all the slogans associated with the brands. Like if you see a Nike, you always go, just do it. You always remember the slogan, okay? So here down at the bottom, there are some examples. In your book, you have so many slogan examples that are very nice. You can go check them out. So like Nike, just do it. Like L'Oreal, because you're worth it. Coca-Cola, ذوق الانتعاش. الأرز, منتج بلدك. I can't read. لابد أطيب. Okay, so Tide, for example, this is the most known slogan for Tide. مع Tide بالغسيل ما فيش مستحيل. Okay, so these are well-known brand slogans. And every time you read this word or the name of the product, you always go back to this specific slogan. And this, whether it's the English version or the associated Arabic version, lots and lots of efforts were made to come up with slogans that will stay with the customers for time to come. Okay? So, what is a slogan? A slogan is a very condensed message. يعني condensed, it could be one word or it could be a sentence. ولكن no more. This is why it's condensed. يعني السلوغان هي عبارة عن رسالة محشورة, okay, very condensed, but it has to give you everything you need to know. All right. So it's a condensed message with a few words, making them a focal point. يعني هني السلوغان هذا هو الأساس. Okay. They present numerous challenges. ليش? Since they are so condensed and using sometimes from one word to a small sentence, they need to be translated in a way that catches the audience's eye, okay? That brings the message to the target language. And they always should take care of cultural nuances. حنرجع نعيد كل هاي دائما. أي ترجمة بتروح من السورس language للتارجت language should take care of cultural nuances. ليش cultural nuances؟ ليش التغيرات الثقافية والمشاعر اللي موجودة في ثقافة معينة، المعنى تبع الكلمات اللي موجودة في ثقافة معينة؟ Because if they don't follow these cultural nuances, the customers or the audience or the reader, they will not understand the meaning that the source text wants to send, okay? So whatever works for the source text may not work at all for the target text. That's why when a translator translates these types of advertising and slogans, they have to take into consideration these factors, okay? So a major challenge is preserving wordplay, puns, and rhymes. And we all know it. Any slogan, any advertising out there has its music, has its own nuances, has its own message. If it's a humorous one, they use effects like wordplay, like puns, as they said. So how can a translator transfer these effects into the target language system? Okay, so here is a very challenging one because the translator here needs to be very creative, needs to understand, of course, the culture that he or she will translate to. And especially agencies nowadays, they tend to hire translators that are from the target language system, okay? So in addition to cultural nuances that further complicate the way a message is translated, especially in the media advertising field, okay? Slogans employ cultural reference, idiomatic expressions, and wordplay that carry specific connotation. Of course, هلا, when you do an advertisement or you make a slogan, we said that you do that for your own target audience, right? لأنه they will be the one to look at it, to buy from it, okay? هلا, if you want to do the same advertising in another language for another audience to expand your market, you will need to consider lots of things. Okay, and we said, and we will repeat, that these things are related to how the humor is transferred, how the music is transferred, how the message comes across. Should we keep it on a foreignizing type, or should we domesticate the message? We need to refer to some cultural references, like, for example, things that relate to the Islamic culture, like Ramadan, like Al-Eid, like Kaza. We need to target them, okay? There are so many advertisements from McDonald's, for example, that target the Muslim world, especially in the Gulf countries, with their product aiming to put some like religious traditions in the advertising so that they can catch the Gulf's audience or customers reach. Okay, so when you a translation of any advertising and slogan, you have to take the cultural references, the idiomatic expression, and the wordplay and humor in the advertising or slogan. Translators have to possess a deep understanding زي ما حكينا of both source language and target culture language. And this is not only for translating media advertising and slogan, is for translating everything. Okay? So any translator should have knowledge both in the source language text or source language system and in the target language system. هلا. I'm not saying that if you are a native, for example, in the Arabic language, that you have to be a native in the English. For example, if you're talking about English translation in the English language, but you have to be a professional in the language. Okay? You don't need to be a native, but you need to be a professional in the language so that you can translate in both languages at the same level of translation. Okay? Adapting slogan across media genre adds more difficulties. يعني أول difficulty حكينا إنه it's hard to transfer a message from one culture to another without understanding the cultural nuances. This is one. The second one, we said that another challenge is how to send this message while keeping cultural references, idiomatic expressions, wordplay, humor, puns, and all of these devices. Okay. The third thing that we are saying that is difficult in adapting slogans is the different media genres that we have. We said we have newspaper, we have TV, we have radio, we have social media platform, we have internet platform, we have a lot of platforms. And each platform or each media, each channel has its own characteristics, has its own limitation. So when a translator does this transference of a meaning from one culture to another, he or she has to take into consideration these challenges. And he or she needs to overcome these challenges in order to provide a very nice advertising or slogan on its own. Okay? So, مفهوم؟ كل يلي حكيته في هدول السلايدز مفهومين؟ Okay, good. Perfecto. We have what we call theoretical perspectives on media advertising translation. We're talking now about a full-on translation of the media advertising and slogan. Okay? So we have to consider, as we said before, cultural consideration. we have to understand linguistic and semiotic consideration, and we have to understand the globalization. So these three affect the way we translate media advertising. So, cultural consideration, as we said, it's all about the culture. We have to adapt, and here it is. We have to adapt the message to the culture we are going to translate to. Okay? So, as we said, it's not just translating the message, the language, but it's also translating the symbols, image, color, and humor. Everything. Okay? There is a really brilliant translation of, I think it's somewhere in here, Snickers, the chocolate, okay? They have a really funny interpretation and adaptation of their slogans from English to Arabic. And in the Arabic version, the advertising was so nice that people talked about it a lot when it first came on. Okay, we will look at it in a bit. So, translators must navigate this cultural subtleties. They have to know these cultural challenges. They have to understand that they exist, and therefore they need strategy to overcome them. Okay? Failure to do so can lead to misunderstanding or even offense. It's here. Okay. Hi, let's go to the example. For example, KFC's English slogan, finger licking good, was translated into Arabic as أصابع تلحس أو تلحس, whatever. Okay? So this was very offensive in the Arab world. So this translation was considered offensive because it literally means fingers that lick. Okay? So KFC later changed the translation to لذيذة لدرجة أو لذيذ لدرجة الإدمان, which means addictively delicious. And when they changed the slogan to suit the target language culture, they became #1 sale at that time. So people went there and ordered KFC all the time. So one slogan can either destroy a brand or make it very famous. That's why it is very important to translate these slogans in advertisements in a way that catches the reader or the audience's eye, and that makes them want to buy this service or product. Not only catches it, but they need to go there and buy it. Okay? So in order to avoid this misunderstanding or offense, the translator used something called transcreation. Okay? So transcreation, I will read it as it is. It is the art, كلمة مهمة, art هي فن of translating creative content, محتوى إبداعي, okay? Such as advertisements in a way that not only retains the intended message, but adapts, وهي كلمة كمان كتير مهمة, يواكب, adapts it to suit the cultural and emotional nuances of the target audience. يعني شوفوا كم من كلمة مهمة أجت في هاي التعريف. It's an art. It uses creative content. It its purpose is to retain the original message, but also to adapt the cultural and emotional nuances. These five words and expressions are very important whenever you want to translate a message from one culture to another, especially when we talk about media advertisements and slogans. Okay? In advertising, transcreation becomes a vital when slogans, brand names, catchphrases, and visual elements need to evoke similar emotions. زي ما حكينا وحنرجع نعيد. Every time you want to translate media advertising or a slogan, you have to take into account the cultural nuances, the aesthetic, جمالية, the puns, the humor, okay, that you want to send to the other culture. In order to do that, you have to adapt the message, not change the message, but adapt it to the culture that you want to translate to. Okay? So this is what we call cultural consideration. And this is part of the theoretical perspective of how or when we translate, what we should look for. The second one is the translation of the linguistic and semiotic system. So what is a semiotic system? A semiotic system is everything that is not verbal. يعني ما بينحكى. Okay? Anything that is sign language that we want to transfer, like the movement of the people, like the emotions of the people. This is all semiotic. And linguistic, of course, which is the message that we want to send across, or the words that are there. For example, now they have started to do advertisement for Ramadan because Ramadan is near, okay? So they are using, yesterday I just saw an advertisement of Hakim, the singer, the Egyptian singer, who is singing a song for Ramadan. So you have children singing, you have people sitting around, preparing the decoration. For everything that goes on, you should translate it if you want to make an impact, okay? Whether it's the verbal words or the signs, the emotions that go there. As we said, slogans are condensed messages that need to send a specific message to the other culture, okay? A semiotic analysis examines the underlying meanings and associations of signs within cultural context. حكينا إنه if you want to translate a semiotic sign, it should take everything with it. You should translate everything associated with it. Slogans function as signs that can carry layers of meaning, emotion, and cultural reference. لاحظوا إنه عم نرجع لنفس الحكي، عم نرجع للcultural nuances، عم نرجع للترجمة مش بس linguistic but also everything connotative، كل ما يتعلق بالكلمة سواء كان معناها كمعنى معجمي أو ما تحمله من معاني أخرى مبهمة. Okay? Translators must consider how these linguistic and semiotic elements can be transferred into the target language without losing their impact. Slogan translation involves not only transferring of word, but also replicating semiotic resonance. Visual elements include font size, color, and layout, which evoke cultural connotations and emotion. Whether it's a written advertisement or slogan, whether it's acted on TV مثلا or social media, campaign, advertising campaign or slogan, they should carry colors, emotions, persuasion. Okay, they have to persuade you to buy them. For example, Coca-Cola's slogan, "Open Happiness." If you go check these videos out, it's very nice. They were very nice slogans and videos. Translating this into Arabic as "السعادة مفتوحة" does not provoke the same nuance as the original. So a more domesticated translation such as "سعادة مطلقة" أو "سعادة كاملة", while linguistically equivalent, requires consideration of fonts, style, layout, and cultural connotation to maintain its visual and semiotic resonance. So go check it out. It's a very nice advertising campaign, Open Happiness. It's in Arabic and in English, and look at the differences between them. The message is there, but how the original was done for their customers and how the translated version was done for the Arabic audience, they differ, but they are equally nice. Okay? And the last thing is globalization. And globalization has a significantly transformed how we look at things. زي ما حكيت قبل شوي, if you see something on the internet and you like it, you go to their website, for example, and you buy it with one click. If you see something on the TV or on social media that says that it's there on Amazon, you go on the Amazon app, look for it, and click buy. And it will take, depends where you're at, in which country you're from. It depends. You can have it from 1 day to 3 weeks. Okay, so that's the power of globalization. That's the power of reaching endless markets. And here comes the translator problem. So translators face challenge of striking a balance between preserving the cultural distinctiveness of the advertising and ensuring its effectiveness in a global market. Okay, so هاي الادفرتايز هلا في نوعين من الادفرتايزنج. في الادفرتايزنج that target a specific market, and there is this advertising that target the whole world. Okay, and both are different. يعني the one that target a specific market, as we said, they have to take care of cultural nuances, of colors, layout, of emotions, of everything related to that market. The advertisements that relate to a global market are even different, okay? So they have their own sets of characteristics. They must make strategic decisions regarding what app the message to local preference, make it more standardized. Okay? You know, one fits all, one for each specific culture. Finding an equilibrium, balance, finding the balance between localization and globalization is very challenging and is very important. So these three components that we talked about, cultural consideration, linguistic and semiotic consideration, and globalization, these are three main points or important points that a translator needs to take into consideration when he or she wants to translate from one language into another. Now, of course, there are challenges. everywhere, whether it's a common translation of text from text in the source language to a text in the target language, whether it's a legal translation, cultural, literary translation, media translation, whatever it is, there are always challenges. And for the challenge of maintaining your brand identity in the local market, you have challenges related to cultural sensitivity, how to adapt your slogans. You have challenges in the consistency of the brand, okay? Is the message consistent? Do the customers understand it? There are challenges in linguistic nuances, okay? زي حكينا wordplay, idiomatic expressions, humor, jokes, puns, كل هدول they give a challenge to the translator. And we have visual elements. How can I translate what I see into another culture? Okay. So that's in order to keep your brand identity constant. Now, these are challenges associated with media advertising and slogans translation. Almost the same, whether you are facing challenges in promoting your brand or services or in doing the advertisement of slogan and media advertising, it's almost the same. So here you have problem in wordplay and pun translation, maintaining emotional appeal and persuasion, and adapting slogan across different media genre. Okay, so for the wordplay, for example, let's look at the example downstairs. It's a donut ad. So they played on the word, like the famous slogan, do not worry, be happy. Okay, what did they do? They changed the words do not into donut. Their brand of donut. Do not worry, be happy. They played on the words. Now in Arabic, we can't do that. We can't play on the words. But what did they do? They choose another type of visual play, of visual word play, like thinking donut, like تغوص بلذتها. So you see here that donuts are thinking, and you are taking one and eating it. Okay, so they played on the visual effect. Here, they played on the word effect, and the Arabic advertisement, they played on the visual effect. So there are some strategies when you want to translate wordplay and puns. You either use a literal translation, which in this particular example we can do. You either use a functional equivalence that aims to give the same effect, or you use an adaptation. And this is what they used here. They adapted the wordplay into visual play. Okay? So they struck a balance between humor, linguistic accuracy, and cultural relevance. Okay? For maintaining emotional appeal and persuasion, and these are both of the versions I told you about on the emotional side, and they are very nice. Okay, we will look at them in a minute. So the most important here for a translator to understand is the cultural context and the linguistic nuance. Okay, دائما cultural reference أو context و linguistic nuance مهمين جدا for translators to understand before translating. So let's look a little bit at the English version of the sneakers ad, And then we will look at the Arabic one, which is equally funny.
352. Nobody plays that way anymore. Oh, Alex, you're not you when you're hungry. Have a Snickers. Better?
Snickers, you're not you when you're hungry.
So this is the English version. Now, for my own taste, I think that the Arabic version is funnier, okay? And it includes something that I am used to. Before the internet, there were like these Mexican movies, that series that we used to watch, and it related for me to this period. So this is for me was a funny advertising, okay? Because I know Maria Mercedes TV series, Guadalupe. I used to watch them, and it made me remember this feeling, this emotional feeling. So after I watched this advertising, I was like, I want a Snickers, and I went and bought a Snickers, okay? So this is what this advertisement made me do. So one very iconic, very recent, it was done last year for another brand of chocolate, which is Twix. And it was super funny that as soon as I saw the advertisement, I messaged my friends to tell them about this ad. It was so funny that it made me also want to go eat a Twix. So I went out to the nearest supermarket and I bought a Twix. Okay, so let's watch it. Okay, so did you understand what the advertising was aiming for? Nirsian, Hasni, Iman, Amal, do you understand what it said? Okay, so this is a nice way of advertising. Hala, no Arabic version was done for this yet because it was done last year, I think. It's really new. It's a really new advertising. But I want to see how these translators will come up with an equivalent version of this advertising.
352.
Okay, so the other thing that we are talking about is how to adapt the advertising and slogan across different media genre. So if you look at the pictures, the first one is a newspaper ad. It's a Marlboro cigarettes newspaper ad. The one below, it's a TV commercial ad, okay, of Fiat Nissan. Fiat, sorry, Nissan, Fiat 500. The one on this side is a Japanese advertisement, which is on the social media, and it's related to the tires of the car. And the last one is also a social media one. This one was on YouTube, an advertisement on YouTube about, if I'm not, it's something about razor, you know, chaprat, okay? So slogan adaptation becomes more complex when transitioning across different media. Each medium has its unique characteristics, okay, requiring careful consideration during translation. For example, printed media is really heavy on language. يعني أكثر إشي بتشوفوه غير الصورة اللي هن الكلمات. These are the characteristic of printed media. The television, for example, ads combine visuals, music, and voiceover. And this is what you will see in this one and in the social media one. And digital or social media platform demand brevity, يعني إنه يكونوا قصار, due to character limits. Okay, so look at all of these. For example, here you go. The Marlboro ad in the newspaper, you have a picture of a guy, of a Western guy, with this word, come to where the flavor is. And you have also on the bottom corner text, okay? So this is how you used to advertise in your newspaper. A picture and lots of text. Now look at this advertisement of a TV commercial Fiat 500. It's super funny. I know it's a little bit small, but try to understand the concept behind it, okay? Okay, so first of all, visual. The second, music. Okay. Third, colors. Lots of color. So did you understand that they were testing the Fiat for slamming doors, kicking the tires, and punching the hood? So then they showed you an argument between two people, and the same thing happened. So this type, what the message wants to tell you is that this Fiat can take it all. It's made for everything expected and unexpected. So this was one of the funniest commercial. It's a quite an old commercial, but it's still very funny to this day. Now the other one, which is about tires, like you see, there is above a UFO, and then it's carrying the car up, but what remains on the ground are the tires of the car. And this is an advertisement for the Yokohama tires, okay? So even if the car is abducted by aliens, the tires are so good that they stay glued to the street. This is the message. And the last one is about razors. It's so funny. Also, it's a funny advertisement. So take a look at it.
Razor has stainless steel blades, an aloe vera lubricating strip, and a pivot head. So gentle it's covered. Would you like spending $20 a month on brand name razors? 19, go to Roger Federer. I'm gonna pass. You think your razor needs a vibrating candle, a flashlight, a back scratcher, and 10 blades? Your handsome-ass grandfather had 1 blade and polio. Looking good, Pop-Up. Stop paying for shit tech you don't need. And stop forgetting to buy your blades every month. $100 going to ship them right to you. We're not just selling razors. We're also making you a job. Alejandra, what were you doing last month?
Not working.
What are you doing now?
Working.
No Vanderbilt. This train, it's hay. Stop forgetting to buy your blades every month and start deciding where you're going to stack all those dollar bills I'm saving you. We are DollarShaveClub.com, and the party is on.
Okay. So this is another advertisement that I liked a lot, and it's a dollar shop. Okay, a dollar shop that sells razors. So in order to convince its customers that $1 is more than enough for a razor, you don't need a 10 blades razor, you don't need it to shine, you don't need it to give you light, you don't need it to scrap your back. Okay, so just put $1 in your razor, and it gives the same finishing touch as any high brand razor, which for me, I think it's a very funny ad, but at the same time, it's a very convincing ad, because he says that now you have time to put the money out for something else for you when you save the money. So these in briefs are how slogans and advertisements differ from one media to another. Okay. So the last thing, or the last two things we will talk about are the strategies for effective communication between advertiser and translator. هلا حكينا من أولها إنه to have a good translation of a really nice advertising or slogan, you have to include the translator from the beginning of your advertising campaign, okay? And especially a translator who is from the target language culture that you are targeting, okay? That you want to do an advertising or slogan for them specifically. So in order to do that, in order to have a very good translation of your advertising and slogan into the culture you want to target, you have to involve the translator from the earliest stages. Make the translator be with you from the first day you decide, I want to do an advertisement or a slogan that targets, for example, Palestine, okay, or that targets the Arab world. Let the translator be part of this. Collaborative workshops. Do lots of organized workshops with the translator in order to keep him or her up to date, okay? Clear briefs, write clear memos on everything that you want to do. Even if you decide to change something, send a memo to the translator, tell him or her that we are thinking of changing this and this. Let them be part of the decision. Regular communication, always keep communicating with the translator in order for them to be up to date. Cultural context, share with the translator what you want to do. Since the translator is a person from that culture, he or she will tell you if it's offensive or if it's okay to continue with this advertising or slogan as it is. And feedback loop, always go back to give your feedback on what the translator gives you or what the translator takes from the advertiser. And the last thing is appreciate the expertise of someone, okay? You have brought the translator to help you. Do not tell him no. Listen to him. Listen to him or her, to their expertise in the field, because they are the ones who will tell you if your advertisement or slogan is acceptable in the target culture. Okay? So these are very important points, 7 points that are important for effective communication between all the advertisers and the translators working on a special advertising or slogan. Okay. The last thing we will look at is a small background of 10 of the best slogans out there. How did they come up? How did they do them? We will only look at the first 3 because it's an 8-minute video. You can look at it after that. But we will look at the first 3 ones and then we will be done.
The best slogans are not only popular, but also marked by timeless appeal. Here are the 10 best company slogans of all time. Number 1, just do it. Just do it. In 1988, ad executive Dan Whedon combined the final words of convicted killer Gary Gilmore, "Let's do it," and Nancy Reagan's "Just Say No" campaign to create one of the most recognizable and effective slogans of all time. Just do it. The goal was to create a tagline that would connect with novice and world-class athletes alike, and it worked. Today, the phrase "just do it" is synonymous with the Nike brand and their legendary endorsements. Number 2, think different. Many famous creative people were using Apple products in 1997 when the brand was in need of a new slogan. So TBWA Chiat Day Agency came up with a phrase that marketed to individuals who had bold visions. The ones who see things differently. Apple became the computer for people that were going to change the world. Because the people who are crazy about it think they can change the world. Okay, take it easy, Kucher. But thinking differently worked out for Apple. And it doesn't hurt to associate your brand with some of the most brilliant and celebrated figures in all of human history. Number 3, where's the beef? Sarah Peller is the famous old lady who critically asked. It was such a hit, Wendy's produced all kinds of merchandise with the slogan, turning Clara Peller and "Where's the Beef" into a sort of proto-meme. 5 minutes, where's the beef? And Wendy's not only had the beef, they had the cheddar, because they pulled a record $76.2 million in sales the following year.
Where's the beef?
Number 4.
Okay, so we will just stop here. You can watch the rest later on, but it's really nice to know the history behind the slogan. Like Nike, "just do it," is a phrase from a serial killer. Okay, it's a famous phrase from a serial killer that was taken and turned into a brand name. Okay, slogan. So any questions, you guys, about this unit? Do you have any questions? No? Okay. So thank you. All right, Iman. Thank you for being here today, and I'll see you next time for more practices, okay, before your midterm exam. That's it. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
يعطيك العافية.